ਖਾਸ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਵਾਉਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਭਾਰਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਾਈ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਸਟੂਅਰਟ ਬੈਕ ਨਾਲ। ਉਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਐਗਰੀ ਸਮਿਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲੈਣ ਲਈ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਸਟੂਅਰਟ ਬੈਕ ਪਿਛਲੇ 3 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਭਾਰਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੀ ਤਜਰਬੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਐਗਰੀ ਸਮਿਟ ਬਾਰੇ, ਭਾਰਤ ਤੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਔਰ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਬਾਰੇ। So welcome, Mr. Stewart. Welcome to PTC Studio.
Thank you very much, Prajwal.
Before we start, I'll ask you, you came here for the summit, Agri Summit.
That's right.
So what impressions you get from this summit by attending this summit?
Well, I have to say it was really quite a remarkable experience. It's always good because you end up talking to people who are doing business in the Punjab, senior business leaders. So from that perspective, networking is good.
Right.
And then I sat on stage for the valedictoria
Yesterday.
and I had a chance to say a few words and to explain what Canada is doing. And of course, when you're sitting on the dais and you're looking at the crowd, it was a full audience and a lot of people who obviously are very engaged in the agricultural sector in the Punjab. And I have to admit, I'm amazed at with the Chief Minister. He's so engaged in the topic. We had a chance to talk on the dais, and then later in the day we had a conversation. And this was his event, and he should be congratulated because I think it was it achieved what he set out to do. We had our Minister for Agriculture for the province of Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
He came and talked about areas of collaboration, which I think is very important. We had an MLA there from Manitoba.
All right.
And for people who don't know Canada, I mean, Saskatchewan and Manitoba are two huge agricultural.
Exactly.
And Saskatchewan in particular is by far the province with the most exports to India. They ship pulses and potash.
Yeah, pulses, yeah.
Potash is very important, of course, for as a fertilizer mix to increase the yields, and it's very healthy for the soil and for the nutritional value of what's being grown. But when you talk about pulses, and we know dal is a staple of the Indian diet.
Yeah.
25% of that dal that you eat comes from Canada.
Canada, all right.
Comes from Saskatchewan. So, and 100% of the yellow peas come from Saskatchewan.
That's right.
So, for us, the agricultural summit was very important. In the Punjab, we achieved what we set out to do. I had a chance to talk about areas of collaboration that we pursue here in the Punjab, and it's always nice to be here because in some ways I feel like I'm back home
That's
in Canada.
Right. Yeah.
It's
yeah. And here, like I would like to ask you. You see, there have been a proposal for a long time. Canada wanted to set up a food development center. So what's happening on that? Is anything latest on that?
Well, we had some very good news yesterday
Yeah.
in the meeting with the Chief Minister. This was one of the issues I raised with him because where can we really participate
Right.
from an investment perspective in the Punjab? And you can take a look at a lot of different areas, but what where there's common area is in food production.
Right.
Agriculture and food production. So I said to him yesterday that the food training center is an important part of that ecosystem. There were some issues that needed to be clarified, and the Chief Minister, being the Chief Minister, says, let's just fix them.
All right.
And so I think shortly we'll be moving forward with the food development center.
Yeah. This will be in Chandigarh or Ludhiana? Or
I'm not 100% sure exactly. It depends on where the land is ultimately
And
set up.
was any of the MOUs signed yesterday with any of the Canadian companies?
There was one MOU. I'm not 100% sure what it was because it was discussed in Punjabi.
Yeah.
So my Punjabi isn't that good. So I think it was in wind energy, but I'm
All right.
wasn't sure. So.
Yeah. Because we have a very long relationship with Canada, and Punjabis are a big community in Canada.
Yeah.
So they always look forward to Canadian investment in India.
Right.
Other than pulses, we have canola also coming from Canada in a big way. So there are a number of areas where Canada can help India. For example, the food storage,
Right.
and also the agriculture machinery.
Right.
So what there these issues or anything related to Canadian help in providing farm machinery, equipment, or food storage? discussed, or any proposals came up for that?
Well, this is something we've been discussing certainly since I've been here, and that's a little bit more than 3 years now, almost 3.5 years. It's not just about selling product. It's not just about selling commodities to India. You know, we are an agricultural economy in Canada.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
It represents about $100 billion of our GDP. So it's a big part of our economy, and it encompasses a large, you know, number of sectors. And one area that we've always felt that we could contribute is in agricultural logistics. So when you talk about grain storage, we've been working with grain storage companies to set up here in India, and they are, okay? And the idea being is that we know that there's huge wastage.
Yeah, huge wastage in India, yeah.
And so let's bring some of our technology here. You know, it's not just about building bins, it's about the technology that goes with that, how you aerate.
Complete technology.
So this is again happening now, and we're really quite pleased. Now, cold storage is another area.
Yeah.
And how do we bring that? And you know, having lived in Canada, you know McCain's.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
The potato, French fries. So they're doing an awful lot on the cold storage side in terms of for their own products, as you can imagine. So yes, they do French fries for McDonald's and KFC, but they're also doing frozen French fries now for the consumer market, and they're producing other potato-related products, but they're all frozen. So you have to have the cold chain to be able to manage that. So again, you know, they not only bring their production technology for making French fries and, you know, the technology around seed potatoes and what can work here in India. And when you talk about equipment, you know, in Canada, when you farm, you're talking on potato farms, you know, acres, thousands of acres.
That's right.
Here
Huge
you're talking
farms,
2.5 hectares.
Acres.
And so it's much smaller. So how you irrigate, you know, historically it's been flood irrigation. So McCain's comes in and does drip irrigation. You know, you don't have the big agricultural equipment that you have in Canada. You have to redesign the equipment for a much smaller plot size. So this has all been done, and it took McCain's about 7 years to come up with their approach to doing business in India, and that has resulted in a very productive environment. And the farmers who are working with McCain's, and there's about 12,500 of them, have become quite prosperous.
That's
so
right.
this is what happens when you bring technology in with sort of the latest techniques from an agricultural perspective. It's the nutritional value as well. All these things increase, and I think that's where we play a real role. It's not just about selling potatoes. It's about everything that's in that ecosystem where we can contribute. So I think there are a lot of areas that we discussed yesterday, but there's, you know, more areas that we can pursue going forward.
Right.
And I really believe on the food production side.
That's right.
By having a food development center.
Yeah,
that will bring companies in because you're now using developing products.
So that will have a cascading effect, and more and more companies will come in.
That's right.
And before we resume further, we'll have a small break, and I'll ask Mr. Beck whether there is a proposal to have exchange of trade delegates, agriculture delegates between India, and especially Punjab, and Canada. Just after a break.
Okay.
Welcome back after the break. So, Mr. Beck, as we were talking, is there any possibility in near future of trade delegates or agriculture delegates from Punjab going to Canada or vice versa for benefit of both the countries? Like, you can give us technical know-how, or in some areas where we are good, we can give you that technical know-how. Any proposal to have exchange of visits?
Well, I mean, again, a lot of it depends on timing, and I always encourage you know, people traveling around events. And so in Saskatchewan, there's a large the Farm Progress Show. It would make sense if we were going to organize a delegation from the Punjab to go to that show.
When is that?
If I'm not mistaken, it's in June.
All right.
But I'm not 100% sure. And we would encourage people to go there because that's where they'll see the equipment. That's where they'll talk about techniques. Saskatchewan, of course, is you know, a huge agricultural area producing a number of different crops. So these are all, I think, an important part of that process. Now, we do have delegations coming from Canada, and they typically come to the Punjab in the agricultural sector because it makes sense. I mean, this is sort of the breadbasket of India.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I mean, we probably had in the last year 2 or 3 delegations here. So it doesn't have to be around a show because there's so much interest that people will, if we bring a delegation, you know, and people here are so hospitable that it's always very welcoming, and that's how you end up doing business. You know, obviously, companies in the grain storage side, they will come and they'll talk and they'll meet the right people. We're looking also in, you know, water management, and we've had people come and talk about water management.
That's another area of concern.
So I mean, it's a huge area, a huge ecosystem in the agricultural sector, and we participate in all of it in Canada, but not all of it makes sense, you know, from our perspective to come here, and sometimes it doesn't make sense from your perspective. So we try and really make do a good job on matching the two sides.
Right, and when we talk of the bilateral trade and our relationship between India and Canada, so we have been hearing there was a proposal for free trade agreement between India and Canada, and also related to it is the question whether we will achieve the target of 15 billion bilateral trade by end of 2015.
Well, that's a tough, really tough number for us to reach. I'm quite proud to say, since I've arrived in October of 2010, our bilateral trade has increased 36%.
36%.
36%.
Huge.
Now
That's
this is over $6 billion now, and I'm, you know, it's good in the context that, you know, India hasn't been growing as quickly as it had in the past. So you've gone from an 8% growth rate when I was here down to about 4.4 at the end of last year.
Right.
So it's a little bit higher now. So we've actually had growth in a difficult financial environment. We also, you know, if you look at our trade statistics, and I'll talk about Canada, our major exports are commodities: potash, pulp, and pulses, the 3 Ps. So all those come from a port in Canada and end up in a port in India. So it's easy to catch the numbers. We export a lot more, and those numbers are not caught in our trade statistics. 80% of our diamonds that are mined in the Northwest Territory end up in Surat to be cut and polished, but they go through Antwerp. So we don't really capture those in our statistics. So although I'm committed to meeting the $15 billion number, where I really focus the efforts of our team is how do we build the number of Canadian companies coming into India to do business. So when I arrived, we were at 250 Canadian companies, and we have a good client management system, so we know whether they're just coming in kicking tires or they're actually doing some business. So we had 250 companies actually doing business on a sustained basis. And we've been, you know, how do we attract more companies to the market? Because that's going to be critical in terms of actually the numbers that we do. And so, you know, where we are today is over 600.
600.
Okay, and that's through efforts of attracting companies, explaining what the opportunities are, them coming in, finding the right partners, setting up distribution networks and such like. So it's not quite 3 times yet, but we're moving very close to that number.
Quickly, yeah.
So that number is easier to manage for us, right?
Yeah. So when we talk of boosting the trade and investments in India, I was just going through the list, and I find there's more of Indian investment in Canada than Canadian investment in India. Yeah. Are there any special reasons for that, or?
Well, you know, Canada is a big country, second largest landmass. We are, you know, sitting on wonderful natural resources. We have a population of 35 million people. India is not nearly as large a landmass, and you know, everybody knows the size of the population. So we have, you know, resources that India requires, and they tend to be big investments. So you take a look at Tata, and they're invested in the mining sector. You take a look at Birla, the same thing. Yeah. You take a look at SR, they're in the steel sector. So, and you know, we have TCS. TCS is one of the largest foreign employers in Canada.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, these are big companies that are doing a lot of work in Canada, and they do a lot of work for North America out of Canada. It's also easier to invest, okay? So, and it's, you know, we have a very open and transparent environment. So for an Indian company coming in to set up, it's relatively simple to do. Not that it's difficult to set up in India, but there are tax issues and whatever. So you take a look at Canadian companies coming to invest here, they tend to do it through offshore vehicles. So you won't necessarily see the investment. But I can tell you, we have Bombardier's invested in India. You have McCain's, as I said. We have 40 automotive part supplying in India. So although the numbers don't seem big, they're probably, again, larger than what the actual stated figure is. But you have to live by the numbers, and we'd love to see more Canadian investment in India.
Yeah. Before we continue further, we'll have a small break, and I'm going to ask you about any possibilities of Canadian automotive sector or aerospace sector coming to invest in Punjab, just after a break.
Okay.
Welcome back after the break. I was asking Mr. Beck, is there any possibility, because Punjab is a potential area for automotive sector, for aerospace sector, since Canada, as you mentioned, Bombardier, is there any possibility of automotive sector from Canada or even aerospace sector coming to invest in Punjab, which provides the best environment for this type of investment?
From my experience, and I've been 30 years plus in basically the economic development role, companies will go where they either have a cluster of other companies. So a company like Bombardier or would tend to go to a place where there will be other companies in that business, so they have easy access to their suppliers. The same would be true for the aerospace companies. Or the automotive companies, I should say. So if you take a look at India, where are the cluster of automotive companies? The clusters right now are in Tamil Nadu, in Maharashtra around Pune. So logically, okay, the companies would look there first. Why? Workforce, and they look for their suppliers that would be able to supply them for what they're doing. So I'm not saying that Punjab wouldn't be a good place to go. So it's a function of the government. And I met with the CEO of Invest in Punjab.
Right.
And he's a very smart man and understands what drives business decisions. So if you put the elements in place and make it attractive for a company to come, they will come. In some cases, if you build it, they will come. One of the conversations I had with the Chief Minister yesterday was about skill training and vocational training.
Yeah,
and if you were to put in place a skill training program in the automotive sector, which there may be already, I'm not 100% sure. I know that, and Georgian College.
Yeah, that's
Georgian
right.
College,
They're
doing
yeah.
automotive training programs here in India already. So
Yeah.
if you set up a center that will be produce the people with the skill set that they're looking for, that's attractive. So it really is putting the pieces together that will make it attractive.
Yeah, because why I am saying this is that Punjab has the best of engineering students.
Mm-hmm.
We have some of the top industrialists of the country here, like in telecom industry, the Bharti Airtel. Then Hero Group is from Punjab, from Ludhiana, and some of the best students available, engineering students, are in Punjab. So I thought maybe this is one input or source.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. And I just came from spending some time at the ISB,
Right.
and it's a wonderful institution.
How do you like it?
It will pull companies into this area, because again, it's the type of institution that is attractive to people who are making investment decisions.
Yeah.
And the professors that are there, the programs that they have in place. No, I mean, it was a wise decision on the part of the government to work with ISB and set up a facility in Mohali.
Right. So any other areas in which Canada is interested in investing in this part of India, North India?
Well, again, it's you take a look at the activities that we're involved in. I would think the clean technology sector, water management is critical, whether it's for agricultural purposes or just for human consumption. And the Punjab is 5 rivers, so one would assume that water it may be plentiful, but you always have problems about how you use it and how. So that would be one area where we have some very good strength in Canada. And if I was trying to attract
clean
investment,
water,
I would be looking at Canadian clean technology companies that are involved in water management. The second area, and I discussed this yesterday with the CEO for Invest in Punjab, is food processing.
All right.
And now that you have the Food Development Center coming in, I think it makes it easier for people who are associated with that center in Canada to talk to them about, now we have the same center here in the Punjab.
Right.
Why don't you think about looking at doing food processing in the Punjab for India? And again, that deals with some of the wastage that that we see, you know, the 25 to 35% depending on the crop, to come up with ways that not only does it create economic development for the state, but also creates value for the industry.
And since we have one of the largest availability of human resource, and you were talking about the skill development center, and you need lots of people of immigration, is there any proposal or any consideration to have such skill development centers with Canadian help here, so that whatever prospective immigrants you are looking for, they can be trained here before they get immigration?
Well, this is, you know, it's a timely question because we have the visit of our Governor General coming. He's arriving in India on Saturday. And the theme of his visit is innovation, education, and entrepreneurship.
All right.
And so one of the areas that we will be looking at is a tie-up between the Association of Community Colleges of Canada, and that's our vocational training institutes, as you know,
right,
with the National Skills Development Council. Okay, and the idea being is bringing what we do well in Canada to India with the right partners. And again, this is a conversation I had with the Chief Minister yesterday, and they've defined a couple of areas of importance where we can contribute through that tie-up. And one is in the healthcare sector, training nurses and the such like, which would have impact for us in Canada, as you know. And the other area is on the technical side, you know, plumbers, welders, pipe fitters, where again we have a shortage. So if we have certificate programs that come from Canadian vocational institutions, it's going to make it easier for people to immigrate to Canada, because the skills that they have fit the skills that we're looking to bring into the country.
Right, right.
And you know,
so it can benefit mutually both the nations.
Win-win.
Win-win situation for both.
Yeah.
So coming to the issue which is very important to all Punjabis, immigration. So what are the immigration controls now? What about like students from Punjab or from North India? And other concern has been of the family reunion. So are there any changes in laws which govern student visa as well as family reunification?
I don't think there's been any changes in the policy, other than, you know, parents and grandparents, which people know about, and you know, we are the largest program globally for parents and grandparents, and I think most people are very happy with how that program has evolved and worked. On the student side, we love to take qualified students. Okay, we have other problems in the Punjab, and that's a lot of it's false documentation, and you know, there are issues around that create you know, a higher rejection rate out of the Punjab than other parts of India.
False documents.
Because a lot of people want to go to Canada. So we, you know, I wouldn't say there's a change in policy, but it's how we manage that. And I'd like to think that you know, good qualified student will have an easy time being accepted into.
So they are always welcome.
They're always welcome. You know, that's the reality, and our numbers would indicate that people are looking to Canada and appreciate the education that they get there, because we're now at this year close to 14,000 students accepted.
14,000.
Yeah. And
I know this is the highest in the last so many years.
Well, yes, we've been growing every year, and
last year 12,000 something.
Yeah, 12,000 something. Yeah. So it's a good
number.
And so if you think about it, if we've had roughly on average 10 to 12,000 for the last 3 years, how many 30, Indian students do we have in Canada? Huh?
Yeah,
so, and for us, it's great for our economy. It's great for those who have accepted to come to Canada and go to school. Many have stayed on and are working and are applying for permanent residence status. So it's a group of people that we're very proud and very happy to have.
Yeah. So before we conclude, I have just one last question. When you said immigration, yes, is doing very well. You also talked about the fraud documents and fraudulent ways the agents. Couple of years ago, you had requested Punjab government and Punjab police for help. So, how satisfied you are with the response from Punjab police and Punjab government in checking those fraudulent practices?
And I think there's a commitment on the part of the Punjab police and the Punjab government to work with us on that. A lot of the times, when people have been defrauded, they are reluctant to talk to officials about it. So it makes it difficult for the people on the government side and the police side to be able to do something. And we can't, because of our privacy legislation, we can't say, these are the people that are being impacted. So we basically tell those who have been defrauded, because they come to us, we know about it. We say, go and talk to the police, because they can do something about it. But it's up to them to make that decision. On the whole, the commitment is there, and we're very, very happy that the commitment is there. And I think in some cases the police have done the needful, right, in terms of what's happened. So it's a little bit of I would say, kabuki. It's up to the applicant to make that decision of whether or not they want to discuss it with the police. And it's our job to say, look, this is what's happened. It's unfortunate. You've been defrauded out of a certain amount of money. You have a means to deal with that. So and the police will action it if they're provided the information.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Thank you very much for talking to us. ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਲੱਗੀ? ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਲਿਖ ਕੇ ਭੇਜਣਾ at feedback@ptcnetwork.tv. ਅਗਲੀ ਵਾਰ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ। ਤਦ ਤੱਕ ਲਈ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ।